welcome to Crafty Little Things. This is a little bit more of an in-depth version of this, of the tutorial on this petrol wheel hexagon, because some people are having a little bit of a problem with it, so I thought I'd do it really close up. I'm going to have to apologise about the shadowing because it's night time and I usually do my videos in the daytime. So I'm going to do it really close up so that you can't make any mistakes. I'm still following their pattern. What you do need to remember though is that a treble in UK terms is a double in US terms. A double treble in UK terms is a treble in US terms. Okay, and I'm using UK terms throughout, and it might get a bit confusing if I keep switching those terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the screen here the terminology throughout the video so that you can refer back to that if you need to change from UK to US terms. Okay, so we're going to start off with our slip knot. So yarn, leave your yarn laying over your two fingers, pull it over, cross it and just hold it with this finger and then just pop, oh that's the wrong hook. Oh, have I got the wrong hook? Then just put your hook under the first strand and pull through the second strand. Just twist it, and then if you take your fingers out and just pull your hook, hold onto your yarn and pull it away, that makes your slip knot. Okay? I've zoomed really close in here so that you can see how to chain. This is your loop on your hook. This is your straggler. That's got nothing on the end of it. And this is your working yarn that's attached to your ball of wool. Okay? So you just put your hook underneath, twist it slightly and pull it through the loop on your hook. And that's a chain. That's the loop on your hook and that's a stitch. And that's how you do a chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now to do a slip stitch to make this into a circle, you look at your stitches, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you've got like a little V shape. You push your hook into that stitch, grab some yarn just exactly the same way and pull it through that stitch. Now you've got a stitch on your hook and a loop. Just pull it through the loop and pull it closed, and now you have a little circle to sew into. It is sometimes quite easy to sew into this space in your first stitch, but that's not where you're sewing into the circle, so make sure you've found the proper middle of that circle. And now we're ready for the first round. So we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to sew 12 double trebles into this ring. The first one of those is like a dummy double treble. It's a chain of 6. 4 stitches make up the double treble and 2 stitches make up a chain space that we're going to have in between each double treble. So we're going to have a double treble, a chain 2 space, a double treble, a chain 2 space, and a double treble is the height of 4 stitches, okay, 4 chains. So this first one that we sew, this 6, is effectively the first 4 stitches of it are the double treble and the second 2 stitches are the 2 chain spaces, okay. So this effectively is our first double treble. So then what we want to do is put a double treble into the ring. Now a double treble is a treble in US terms, and all we do for that is we yarn over and then we yarn over again. So we've yarned over twice. So we've got our loop on the hook, yarn over, which kind of gives us 3 loops on the hook, yeah? So then we take our hook and we push it into the centre of that circle we made, and make sure you go into that centre, and then you grab some yarn and you pull it through, okay. So now you've got essentially 4 loops on the hook. So you yarn over and you pull through 2 loops, and then you yarn over and you pull through 2 loops, and you yarn over and you pull through 2 loops, and you've finished your double treble. This stitch is a treble in US terms. So now what you've got is your double treble, your dummy double treble and chain 2, your real double treble, and now you're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now be really careful that you stitch into this and not into here. Okay, so now you're going to do another double treble. So you yarn over again, get your hook, put it into that ring, pull some yarn through. So now you've got 4 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you've done a second double treble, and you can see these are sort of the same size and shape because of that chain 2 space there. So we've got our dummy and our next 2, so we've got 3. So then we do 2 more chains, 1, 2, and then we put another double treble into this centre. So we yarn over again, back into that centre, don't go into one of the other circles by mistake, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And now we do our chain 2 space again. So now we've got 4. So we want 12 eventually, so we've got another 8 to do. So yarn over twice, into the ring, make sure you go into the ring and not anywhere else. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, okay, and then 2. Now what we want to do is, because this is acting like a treble or a double treble, we take our first strand and we count up 4 stitches. So we look for those 4 V shapes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should leave 2 chains that are going across the top. Okay, so when we find that 4th space, we stick our hook in, grab some yarn, pull it through, and pull it through the loop on our hook. And now we have 12 kind of spokes to our wheel. Pull that in, to pull the centre in a bit tighter, and we have 12 double trebles with 2 chain spaces in between. Okay, so that's the first bit. Now for the second round we chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry if I went out of shot there. Just pull some yarn off, otherwise you might get a bit caught up like I'm getting. Now what we want to do next, we want to put a treble into the 2 chain space. This is the chain space, this is a stitch, this is the chain space, this is a stitch, this is the chain space. If we're sewing into a chain space, we put our hook through into that big gap. If we're sewing into a stitch, we put it through the 2 strands at the top of the stitch. Okay, now this time we've chained 6. We haven't chained 6 because the first 4 are a double treble and the second are a chain 2. This time we've got the first 3 are a treble and the next 3 are a chain 3. So this time we're working in treble stitches and chain 3s. Okay, so this time we're doing a treble, not a double treble. In US terms, a treble is a double, which is confusing. So we're going to yarn over once, put our hook into the chain space, grab the yarn and pull it through. So we've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay. And now we've got to do a treble in the next stitch. So the next stitch is here. Now this time we're not putting it in the gap, we're putting it under those 2, putting it into the stitch that's going under those 2 parts of the stitch there. Okay, so it's actually going into the stitch at the top of this. This is a treble from the last round and it's going into the stitch at the top of that. Okay, so it's gone into there. So we yarn over, put our hook in that stitch, grab some yarn, pull it through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we pop a treble in the 2 chain space. So yarn over, we're going to go into the space now, hook into the space, pull some yarn through, got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to put a treble, so yarn over once, and we're going to put it in the top of, we're going to put it in that stitch, so we'll put it at the top of the previous double treble. Okay, pull through 2, pull through 2, and remember we've changed now to trebles. We're doing double trebles here, we're just doing trebles on this round. This first piece is going to form our final corner, because now we're going to start making our 6 corners. Okay, so next what we do is we're going to work into the next chain space and we're going to do a treble. So yarn over, hook into the chain space, pull some yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a treble into that same chain space again. Hook in, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's going to make our next corner, our first corner. And then we're going to repeat. So we're going to put a treble, so yarn over, and we're going to put that into the top of the stitch. So that's going in the stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to yarn over and we're going to put a treble in the chain space. And then we're going to yarn over and put a treble in the stitch. Okay, you can see where these stitches are, they open up really well. And then we're going to do our corner again. So we're going to yarn over, go into the chain space, make the treble in the chain space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 3, whoops, and then do another treble. So yarn over once, remember we're working in trebles now, and you will be tempted to go into this space here. Don't go into there, remember you're going into your wheel that you made earlier, okay, and do your treble in there. The biggest problems with this pattern will come from not doing the double treble in the first place, not changing the stitch to a treble in the second round, and stitching into the wrong spaces. So be really careful that your second round, all your stitches are going into your first round. Okay, so now we'll start again. So we got to our last, we did our last corner, then we stitched into the top of the stitch, into the chain space, then we yarn over and we go into the top of this stitch, which seems to be the same place as where that first stitch of our corner is coming out of. It's just the way it works out. So then we go 1, 2, 3, pop our hook in, grab some yarn, pull it through in a slip stitch and make our corner. Okay, so hopefully that was okay. Now we're going to do round 3. So you want to slip stitch in the next 3 chain space. Now these corners are our 3 chain spaces, okay? You want to slip stitch into there. So all you're doing is moving. Slip stitches are often used just to move around your work without impacting the pattern. So all you're going to do is put your hook into the, you're not going to yarn over or anything, put your hook into that space, grab some yarn and pull it through, and just pull it through the loop on your hook, and then your hook is there. That's where you're working now, in the right region. So then we're going to do 6 chains. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to do a treble in the same space. So this time again our 6 chains are acting as a treble, that's 3 stitches and 3 chains. Okay, so then yarn over, pop your hook into the same corner space, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's just to repeat what you did before, just to make the corner again, because you obviously want your corners to build onto your corners. Now we do a chain, and then we miss a stitch. Now the stitch we're going to miss is this one here. Let's zoom in. The stitch we're going to miss is this first one here. Okay, so we're not going to do anything in there. And then we're going to yarn over and we're going to stitch into the next stitch. So that's that one. Pull through the yarn, pull through 2 and pull through 2. So and then we're going to repeat that again. So we're going to miss a stitch and then put a stitch into the next stitch. Okay, zoom out. Now you can see it coming into shape, yeah? So chain 1, miss this stitch here, you want to go into the top of this stitch. So yarn over and go into the top of that first stitch. The stitch you're missing is the chain from the corner. That's the stitch you're missing. Yarn over, miss the next stitch and go into the middle stitch. Yarn over, miss the next stitch and go into the last stitch of that row. Chain 1 and do your corner into the corner. That's a treble, 1, 2, 3, and a treble. And now we're on the home straight. Now here we already made our corner, so this is effectively our chain 3, our treble, our chain 3 and our treble. So that's all done, but we know we're going to end up stitching really close to that for our last stitch. So we chain 1, we miss our stitch and we go into the top of the next one, miss the next one and go into the top of the next, miss the next one, and then we're going into the top of this stitch, which is really close to that starting chain, which we call the standing chain. And then chain 1, find the third stitch, 1, 2, 3, pop your hook in, grab some yarn. That wasn't, did you see what I did there? I only went through one strand. Grab some yarn, pull it through and pull it through the loop on your hook, and there you are. That's the end of that round. Okay. Right, so for the final round then we chain 3, and that is effectively the last stitch that's going above this stitch on the round. Now we're going to go in and do the corner. So we do a treble into the space, a chain 3 just like every other round, and a treble into the space. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to put a treble in every stitch and space across. So we go yarn over and we're going into this stitch, 1, okay, then we're going to yarn over, going in the space, 2, yarn over, go into this stitch, 3, yarn over, go into this space, 4, yarn over, go into this stitch, 5, yarn over, go into this space, 6, yarn over, go into this stitch, 7, yarn over, go into this space, 8, yarn over, go into the top of the stitch, this last stitch, 9. So you end up with 9 stitches across and your 2 ends, which is 11. Okay, so yarn over, into the corner you go with a double treble, chain 3 and into the corner again. Okay, and then we do it all again. So what we're really doing is we're just stitching into every space and every stitch on this side. So we're starting off here, first stitch, space, stitch, space, stitch, space. Okay, so you might get a little bit jumbled up, so yarn over, go into the stitch. There's the stitch. I'm going to zoom you right in now, just so we can show you this clearly. So So I'm going to start this again just so you can see. So yarn over, go into the stitch. This is the stitch, go into the top of it. Then yarn over and go into the space. Now here's the space and this is the next stitch. So just make sure you don't cover that stitch up. Okay, yarn over into the stitch. Yarn over into the space. Make sure you don't cover that stitch up. Because remember, we didn't do spaces between these stitches. Yarn over into the stitch. Yarn over into the space. And yarn over into the stitch. Okay, I've lost track now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yarn over into the space. Okay, and then we have our corner. So a treble crochet, chain 3 and a treble crochet into the corner. Okay, and then we do it all again along the next side. And we end up that nice tight edge then with 11 stitches to each edge.